Hello everyone, this is Sandra from the Cherry Heart podcast, and I'm here today with a tutorial on how I make my classic granny squares. So the granny square motif is probably one of the most recognisable motifs in crochet, and there are slight variations on how you can make this square. Quite a lot of people have their own preferred little methods, so this is how I prefer to make mine. I'm going to be using this double knit yarn today. It's a Stylecraft yarn. This is a Bambino colourway, and some of the other colourways here are also Bambino, and some of them are from the Belissima range, but it's the same yarn. And I'm also going to be using my favourite hooks, which is a Tulip hook, and I'm using a 4mm hook. You can use whichever hook size is recommended for your yarn, and I'll also be using UK terms for this tutorial. I'm from the UK, so that's what's familiar to me, but I'll mention the US terms and I'll pop it up on the screen for you as well. So to begin, I start by making a slip stitch. Again, if you're not familiar with how to make those, you can pop along to my Crochet Corner site, and that will have a photo tutorial for it. And I'm going to just start by making 4 chains, and then to form a little loop I'm going to make a slip stitch into that first chain there. So there's my tiny little loop, so small you can barely see the middle. Let's open that up for you. So yes, I have got a hole in the middle there. You can use, if you are having difficulty working into the beginning of that little centre loop there, you can use sort of 5 or even 6 chains to start, which will give you a slightly bigger loop. You might find that easier, especially if you've not been crocheting very long. So to begin the square, I'm going to chain 4. This is where my pattern will differ slightly from a pattern a lot of people know, because I only chain 4 to start, not 5. So now I'm going to make a treble crochet, so that's a US double crochet, and I'm going to make 3 of those into this centre loop. So to do a treble crochet, I'll just quickly show you. You yarn over the hook, you want to go into that central loop, yarn over and pull through the loop, and you'll have 3 loops on there. Then you yarn over and pull through 2 of those loops, yarn over and pull through 2, and that's a treble crochet stitch. So I'll make 1 more. And remember, you can pop along to Crochet Corner to get the photo tutorials of each step of that if you'd like to see it again. So that is 3 treble crochets, and a cluster of crochets made together like that in a series is called a shell. So this motif that we're making is made up of these shells of treble crochets or US double crochets. So this will be a corner now, and to make a corner I make 2 chains, and then I'm going to make a second side. So this is our first side, I'm now going to make another side, and that's again a shell of 3 treble crochets. So we can see that that's made a nice little corner there. So we've worked up one side and along. Now we're going to make another corner, so that's another 2 chains, then a third side with 3 treble crochets, US double crochets. This colourway, by the way, is called Duck Egg, if you'd like to know. So there I've got 1, 2, 3 sets. Now this starting chain I made actually is going to count as one of my trebles on the last side. So it's a square, we want 4 sides, we've got 3. This is going to be my last side in here, and this is going to count as my final treble. So I'm going to make my 2 chains for the corner, and then to make my final side I'm going to make 2 UK trebles. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to use this one as my final treble. So to close up this gap, I'm just going to make a slip stitch into that 3rd chain. So there's the first one, there's the second one, and I'm going to work into the 3rd one with difficulty. There we go, and that leaves my 4th chain free at the top there. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull that through both loops. So that's my first round of my granny square, and this is the reason I like to just do 4 chains at the beginning here instead of 5, and it's because I think it just leaves these gaps, these little corner spaces, a little bit more even. For me personally, when I do 5, I find it makes this corner a lot bigger, and I prefer them to look more even. So if you find the same, then you might like to try that 4 chains at the beginning as well. So for this tutorial I'm going to just make a 1 colour granny square. So I'm going to keep to the same yarn, and I'll show you how I change yarns and make 2 colour granny squares in the next part, and I'll just link that above here for you and in the description box below. So to start the next round I'll need to get the yarn over into the corner, so I'm just going to make a slip stitch into that corner space there, and that just brings the yarn a little more over to the middle there where I want it. So I'm going to start in the same way with my 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to make a little cluster of 3 treble crochets, UK treble crochets in this corner to start the next round. So that's US double crochets. I'm sure you know that by now. So there's 2, let's just do a 3rd. So that will make up part of my corner. And now we don't work into these stitches here, so instead we leave a space, and I'll just make a chain to make that space. So now we're going to start straight away with our next corner. So this is all going to be worked into this corner space. So I'm going to make 3 trebles to make the first side of the corner. Like that. Then, as we did last time, 2 chains to make the corner space, and then I'm going to do a second shell into this same place, so that's another 3 stitches into the same corner space. So there we go, that's turned the corner nicely for us. So again, we don't work into the stitches themselves, so we make a chain so that we're leaving a little space, and now we can immediately start on the next corner. So we'll do that in the same way. It's 3 treble stitches, two chains, 3 treble stitches. Our second corner. So again, 1 chain to jump over the stitches at the side, and we're already onto our third corner. So you guessed it, 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. So there's my 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. So here's my last side, so I do 1 chain to jump over those stitches, and then I need to finish off my corner that I started. So in the same way that I did on the first round, my starting chain is going to count as my last treble, so I only need to make 2 more into here to make my 3-stitch shell. So 1, 2, and I'm going to make a slip stitch into that third of the 4 chains again. So there's the first chain, there's the second, there's the third, and I'll leave the 4th clear. So there we go, 2 rounds. So now we'll do a 3rd round, and you'll hopefully start to see how the pattern is going to emerge. Because basically what we do on this 3rd round is exactly the same as we're going to do on every subsequent round. So that's why this pattern is nice, because you can keep going and make a really large square or even a blanket out of just this one pattern if you want to. So to begin, I'm going to move my yarn into the corner again by making a slip stitch in the corner, 4 chains to begin, and 3 treble crochets into that same corner. So now we're going to skip these 3 stitches, and we're going to make a chain so that we leave a space, and this time we actually need to work into the sides because we have a space there. We didn't before, we only had 1 shell, so we just leapt over it and went straight to the corner. Now we've actually got a space along the side, so we need to work into that. So again, we're just going to do a shell of 3 stitches. Now another jump to the corner, so a chain to leave a space, and now we're at the corner again. So 3 stitches, 2 chains, 3 stitches. Go. Our first complete corner. This one isn't complete yet, so I won't count that one. So there we go, a corner is complete. So now we need a chain to leave a space while we jump over the stitches, and a shell is going to be worked into the space. So 3 stitches to make up our shell. Same again, a chain to leave a space while we jump over the stitches, and there's a corner, and I'm sure you know what I'm going to do by now. So we're getting around the square. So a chain to jump over our stitches, 3 stitches into the space, another chain, and then we're back to the corner, so we work our corner. So now the last side, so a chain to take us over those stitches, a shell into the space, chain to take us over the stitches, and then I've got my last treble there, so I just work 2 trebles into that last space. And my slip stitch into that 3rd chain to close the round. There we go, looking nice and square shaped now, and I think you can start to see the pattern emerging. I'll just go through the 4th round with you. So first of all, slip stitch into the space to bring the yarn to the corner, 4 chains to start, and 3 trebles into that same space. So now we work along the side in exactly the same way as we did before. A chain each time we get to a cluster, and 3 stitches into each 1 chain space. So 1 chain to jump over stitches, and 3 stitches into the 1 chain space. 1 chain to jump over the cluster, and now we're at the corner space, so we make our corners of 3 stitches, 2 chains, 3 stitches. So you will start to notice that every time I get to a corner, it's 2 chains and then 3 stitches, and when you're just working along the side, it's always just 1 chain. So the only place we need to put 2 chains is when we make the corner. Everywhere else we're just using those 1 chains. So the 3 sides are completed in exactly the same way. So just that final side to go. So I've made 1 chain, I'll work my 3 stitches into the side, one chain, 3 stitches, 1 chain, and again I'll end in the same way as I have done on all the previous rows. 2 stitches, and that chain from the beginning of the round counts as my 3rd stitch, and I slip stitch into the 3rd chain out of the 4. So there we go, 4 rounds there, and you can keep going and make your square as big as you like. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, if you could give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you'd like to subscribe for more content, I have podcasts, quiet moment vlogs, and sometimes more tutorials. Thanks for watching.